Coming to you from the great state of Wisconsin, this is a CS27 Studios production. You're listening to the Binary Brothers Podcast featuring Ryan and Clay. It's time now to open your ears and prepare your mind because life's too short to be constrained in black and white. So without further ado, here are your hosts, Ryan and Clay.
Hello, welcome to Binary Brothers Podcast. This is episode 14. I'm Clay, and with me as always is my co-host, Ryan.
Hey, that's me.
That is you.
Good to be with you.
Good to be with you. And good to be with all of our listeners, too. Because we have the best listeners of all time. We have all the listeners, all the best listeners.
They've stuck with us.
Through thick and thin.
Thick and thin.
All 13 episodes so far, and now the 14th. I mean, one more and they get a third free sub.
Exactly. I mean, only though if they brought their punch card.
Right, naturally.
We're not just giving away free subs all willy-nilly here.
We can't afford that.
We don't have the money for that.
No. Have you heard a sponsor on this podcast before?
Not one single sponsor, and that's why all of our podcast comes to you just pure, no outside influence.
Yep.
That's it.
It's just us.
Just two guys talking about stuff.
Yep.
And that's what you came here for, and that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get tonight.
It is. Here's the thing. This is going to be the first episode that we've done that we are pretty much talking about controversial things.
Yeah.
I would say, or at least a lot more controversial than anything else we've talked about.
It's not the old keep the headphone jack or get rid of it controversial.
Yeah.
It's like talking about stuff that people are a little bit heated about.
Yeah. And if you can't handle that, I won't blame you if you stop listening.
Yeah, if you shut this one down and wait until next week, then that's fine.
However, I do hope you stick around.
I do as well. We're going to be talking about anthems.
Yeah, all the stuff that's going on kind of regarding that whole situation.
Yep. New rules have been put in place. There's been a lot of controversy. It's been like since 2013.
Was it that long ago?
I believe 2016. Sorry, too far back.
I was going to say, I feel like it was only...
It's felt like forever.
Yeah, it kind of has.
Yeah.
Seems like really forever ago.
It's only really been, 2 football seasons.
Yeah.
Since the whole thing kind of kicked off, and it's been all over the place. It will not die.
Nope. But probably for good reason. But we'll get into that later. First, we got to get you guys inside of our minds.
Get you knowing what we're thinking, how we're feeling on this lovely evening, day, night, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter in our books.
Yeah, whenever you're listening to this is how we felt.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to start us off, Ryan?
I would love to start us off, and I'm going to go with music first. I'm going to talk about what I've been listening to. So recently, I've been listening to a mix of a lot of things.
All right.
But I think my favorite thing in the last couple of weeks has really been Kanye West's new album.
The Yee? I don't know.
Yee? Yee. No, it's Ye.
Ye? Is that French?
He did do that song African American Fellows in Paris.
En français?
With Jay-Z, so you could say that it's maybe French.
Maybe.
But you could also very much so say that it's not French at all.
Ooh, double meanings.
So yeah, I've
intense.
It's only been out for about a week, and it's a pretty short album. And it's not necessarily that like I haven't been like loving it or anything, but I just keep listening to it. Because sure. I'm really trying to judge it still. I've listened to it a few times.
The jury's still out.
The jury is definitely still out. I mean, a lot of people have had their opinions about, what he's done on this album here and what he's been doing in general. But I don't know. from a production standpoint, I'm never mad about Kanye's production. He produces all of his own, music, his songs, and the production on Ye was good. It was
Top
really
notch.
solid.
Top notch?
Yeah, top notch. And I mean, he also just recently, another artist on his label, Good Music, Pusha T, came out with an album, and he did a lot of production on that album as well. So between those two, I'm really feeling the production on them. But again, jury's still out for me on, his actual content here, and I don't know. He's been saying a lot of crazy things, as Kanye will.
Yeah,
but
he's kind of known for that, isn't he?
Right. So he always has opinions that are out there, and he's not afraid to kind of say things and be different. And he's obviously been going through some stuff. And he came out with some track that like he rapped like poopity scoopity whoopity. Like, not joking at all.
Sounds like my kind of song.
Everyone was like, "What the hell is happening with Kanye right now?" Like, we know that Kanye is crazy, but we didn't know it was like this.
Not that crazy.
And all of his, opinions on a bunch of other stuff,
Yeah, he's kind of gotten out there recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, saying like slavery's a choice, and he's really like pro Trump.
Literally the opposite of the definition of slavery.
It's the opposite of a choice, and I don't know. He's trying to defend himself with all this stuff, and
pretty much
he did say, I mean, you have to. He's in the public, and like everyone, he's very elusive on like social media and stuff. Most of the time, he kind of went quiet there for a while, and he came back and he says stuff like this, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?
Stop it!
Stop!" So yeah, he said at some point, all your questions will be answered with this next album, and I will tell you right now, everyone, if you haven't already listened to it, if you're looking for answers to questions, you're not going to get any. Not a single one. He didn't talk about his pro-Trumpness. He didn't talk about the fact he said slavery was a choice. He didn't talk about any of that stuff at all. So
he just says "ye" all the time. Ye.
So
ye, yay, mumbly boomly, poopity scoopity, whoopity.
Poopity scoop. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. He says a lot of stuff, but I don't know.
He rhymes a lot of things.
There are some rhymes on there. There's also, I feel like, a lot of filler for, a Kanye album.
Oh.
But I don't know. I've been listening to it, so that's kind of been my jam, and then I've been trying to analyze it.
That's always a tough task.
Right. But other than that, not really much new going on music-wise for me. I mean, there's a smattering of other stuff. Churches, I saw you posted a picture of one of the Churches tracks.
Yeah,
Churches
first song on that album.
Oh yeah, so
pretty good stuff.
What about you, man? What have you been listening to recently?
Well, I mean, Churches did come out with a new album, but I think I'm gonna go with an album that came out just about a month ago.
Okay.
Like early May. I think May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
I believe. But I didn't actually find it out or notice it until, I don't know, a couple weeks later, and it just popped up. I was like, since when did Shinedown release a new album?
Yeah! I saw that. Attention.
Yeah.
Right? It's in my recents. I'm looking at my recents right now, and that's...
It completely caught me by surprise.
Didn't listen to it, but it came out of nowhere. Like every Friday I go on and stuff. I'm like, oh, new album, add to library. Hopefully, eventually listening to it, and it's Shinedown.
Yeah. It's
so what did you think?
It's got some good songs on it. It's interesting. It's an interesting album. I wouldn't say it's my favorite album of theirs, but it's still solid. It's still a good album with some good songs. I'll tell you what though, if you ever get a chance to see Shinedown live, do it. Absolutely do it. They put on a really, really good show. They're one of the few bands that I've seen live, and I'm like, you know what, like that was more than what I paid. I got my money's worth and then some.
Right.
Like they just have the energy And it's nuts. I've seen them twice, and it's fantastic. They put on such a great show.
Where'd you see them?
Summerfest both times.
Nice.
But and if you don't know what Summerfest is, it's a big music festival, and they were on one of the free stages.
Okay.
So when I say like you get more than what you pay for, I don't mean in that sense. Like it's pretty cheap to get into Summerfest by itself. It's like what, $15 or something like that.
Yeah, it's super reasonable.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of concerts, but like that show could have easily been at like the Marcus Amphitheater, the place that you actually would have to pay money to get into.
For sure.
Those tickets would probably be, near $70 or whatever.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, like if I paid $70 to see them there at both those times, it would have been completely worth it.
Nice.
So that, I guess, both my times I didn't really pay all that much to see them, but
you would have.
If I did, like at a normal price, it would have been completely worth it. They put on such a great show.
That's awesome.
So, I don't know when they'll be back in town here, because last time I saw them was last year.
Yeah.
And I've seen them like both times they've come to Milwaukee in the past decade, basically. So it may be another few years or so before they come back here. They might visit like Chicago or something, a big city like that. But if you ever get a chance, I completely recommend it if they come to your city. So
I'm definitely down. You'd think with a new album out, eventually they'll swing around. We'll see if
they will eventually.
Hit a smaller town. I mean, like compared to Chicago and Milwaukee.
Right. I mean, they'll probably hit the bigger cities like Chicago, and then they'll probably go to Europe or something, and then they'll come back and do maybe a smaller tour with some cities maybe like Milwaukee or whatever.
Yeah.
But it usually just takes a while for them to get around to coming here.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's kind of what I've been listening to a little bit, like Shine Down a lot, and then the New Churches album, and then just some other stuff sprinkled in there too. But those are kind of the big two right now. Nice.
What are you excited about? Are you excited about anything coming up? You got anything going on?
I mean, right now the Stanley Cup Final is on. Like
literally right now.
Game 5 is on while we record this. I am missing a Stanley Cup Final game to record this podcast. That's how dedicated I am to you guys. I won't mention that I have updates on my phone. But right before we started recording this, there was a fight that broke out, so I was like delayed coming in. I was like, well, I'm not gonna stop watching this fight here.
Here's the deal.
I'm not that dedicated. I'm dedicated, but not that dedicated. You gotta understand, right?
The fight is only gonna happen live one time.
Once, every 10 minutes in this series.
Exactly.
It's gotten chippy in this series for sure.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'm pretty happy about that. Although if the Capitals end up winning, which they're losing this game, but if they just need to win one more game, if they end up winning, then that basically means hockey's done for the year, and that sucks.
Yeah.
But
bummer.
But we'll get to that point when we get to that point.
We'll burn that bridge when we get there.
What about you, Ryan? What are you excited about?
I'll tell you what.
Oh boy.
I am so excited for the Racine Raiders.
Oh boy.
Home opener. We've been on the road for 3 weeks now in a row. And
it's a tough start to the season, really.
Yeah, it's a tough start to the season, and then we haven't done all that well in those first 3 games. So we're 1-2 sitting right now. We won a non-league game, we lost a non-league game, and then we started league play this last week against Tri-City Ducks and went down to Chicago and, kind of made it a dogfight there in the end. And it was 20... We'd push it in from like the one. Scored, made it 20-21, and we decided with 50 seconds left to go for it.
Oh yeah, you go for it for sure.
We decided we're gonna go for the two. We're gonna put this one away, and we're gonna be done.
Yeah.
And we fell a little bit short there, so we lost that one. But it was awesome to be, with it being so early in the season, to kind of be on it and show that we can get there and we can drive and we can make things happen if we need to.
Yeah.
So that's good. But I'm excited for the home opener. There's nothing like playing in Racine for the Raiders at home. We get, like, in the world of semi-pro football, we get a pretty good turnout. Like when we go to other teams to play them, you might get a couple hundred, maybe pushing it at a game, but we're probably expecting around 1,000 at this home and opener.
Pretty good, pretty darn good.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's good to be back on the home field. It's where I played in high school, which is super cool. So it's gonna be nice to be home, kind of be in that groove, not have to do the whole travel thing. You played ball, like going anywhere.
I balled.
Going anywhere to play is away games. You balled out, dude.
I balled out. That's such a baller. You don't even know.
So yeah, that's got me pretty excited. That's coming up here Saturday. If anyone hears this before then, come on out. It's 7 p.m. Historic Horlick Field. Get out there.
Oh yeah,
But that's what's got me going.
I would go, but I'm gonna be out of town. So,
dude, if you ever want to go, I get free tickets.
Yeah, well, I will hit you up.
Hit me up.
But I can't this weekend. I'm sorry.
Fans of the show, if you ever.
That's true.
If you ever want to go, hit us up on Twitter. I'll get back to you. I'll leave tickets that will call for you. Just a little bit of tweets, maybe on some Facebooks. Any of that stuff.
Facebooks. I guess we're still on there. I'm just like.
We did not leave Facebook.
I just rarely go on Facebook at all.
Me neither.
So yeah, we're probably about 10 episodes behind posting on Facebook. But
yeah, so how about you just tweet if you want to.
Tweet or Instagram works too.
Definitely see it.
The Binary Bros. So yeah, that's always exciting. It's always exciting getting to play in front of your home crowd, your friends.
Oh yeah.
Relatives, local community.
We love the community.
Even if it's not, everybody thinks of kind of big crowds or whatever, college and professional. But even at, the level of semi-pro, getting 1,000 people, that's pretty cool. Even getting to play in front of that size is definitely cool.
It's definitely neat, and the fans are the best. Much like the fans of our podcast.
Oh yeah,
the fans of the Racine Raiders.
You'll fit in just fine. So yeah, you wanna get into this? I guess we should probably get into this controversial topic, eh?
Get into it. The controversy.
So
here it comes.
So at your game on Saturday, you guys gonna have a national anthem?
We will. We will have a national anthem. Funny enough, the last 2 games we played have not had national anthems, or the last 3.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe. I missed the second one, so I don't know if they had one. But the 2 that I was at, no national anthems, so there was no opportunity for any sort of protests or statements. But yeah, every home game we definitely play the anthem over the speakers. Line up on the sideline as is tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't really done anything.
I was gonna say, have you guys discussed anything? I know, like semi-pro is kind of low key. It's not really that much of a forum for it.
Yeah, so we did talk about it at one point last year, but we didn't have enough time to like actually hash it out, at a practice or anything, and
sure.
Really talk about it and get like a unanimous decision because we wanted to, if we're gonna do it together.
Yeah, as a team, sure.
So I think that's kind of why we didn't do it. And I haven't noticed really anyone during Anthems, even last year, do anything in particular, even from other teams. So like you said, while people might have opinions in semi-pro, they haven't really been voicing them on that forum.
Right. And I guess that's kind of the difference, right? That, the reason why it's even happening is because the forum for it is so large.
Right.
That any type of opinion or voice can be heard on that stage.
Right. And it's, as something as simple as what, everyone, I guess if you don't know, Colin Kaepernick is the one who, kind of started the whole thing. He got it kicked off, no pun intended, in 2016. And he sat during the national anthem. And, that sparked all sorts of stuff. In between then and now, it's evolved, and there's just been so much controversy.
Well, and you do know, and this is, I guess, more of a hypothetical question, but you do know how, he got that idea too, right?
Didn't he talk to someone who was a veteran?
Mm-hmm.
And they're do you know all the stuff behind that?
I don't know every single detail. I don't know the guy's name or anything, but yeah, it was a veteran who Kaepernick talked to, and the veteran actually gave him the idea of sitting or kneeling during the anthem.
Right.
And so he did that. And then afterwards, everyone's like, why would Kaepernick do this or whatever? And why would he come up with this idea? And it's like, and then the entire argument that it's disrespectful to military personnel and everything, and when they don't even realize that a veteran was the one that came up with the idea.
Right.
So. And
that's
yeah, you get on your big fat keyboard there and.
Oh yeah, I'm on the smaller keyboard, the smaller, quieter
it's
podcast keyboard.
Oh, is it? Yeah, but it's still mechanical.
It's still mechanical.
It's still big fat mechanical keyboard.
Oh yeah, gotta love these.
Oh
keys.
Yeah.
I've got it in full rainbow RGB mode right now too.
Ooh, fancy.
That's really having at it. So yeah, I Googled it just now, and it was a Green Beret and NFL player Nate Boyer.
Oh, okay. So former NFL player, or does he currently play? I assume he's probably former.
I'm assuming he's former, but
if he was a Green Beret,
yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, that was the thing. I mean, that's an actual fact, and I know people that have served, and
yep,
you as those people, right? As everyone in the service or who was previously in the service, they've dedicated a lot of time and effort to what they were doing, and they did it for a reason. And I haven't talked to anyone, not that it's every single service person ever, but
right.
I haven't talked to anyone who was in the service who said, "Oh yeah, that's a huge deal and it's the worst thing ever."
Yeah.
So
I think most of them, or at least most of them who still are rational, I guess, and I guess that's a little bit of a mean thing to say.
It's all relative.
But I mean, we do know, and this is across any profession, military included. There are plenty of people who are great, but then you still have those bad apples that are just like, what are you doing? Like you're like, it's not. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to say. I'm not trying to generalize at all.
Right.
We see these types of people across. We see them in our profession too, just as web developers or software engineers. People who just are way out there.
Right.
And you're like, you don't even sound rational half the time.
How are you like this?
And there are people like that in every single profession, and military is included. But I would argue for the most part, our military personnel mostly are rational folks, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's always a few bad apples. But if you ask pretty much any of the rational ones who understand, why they are, in the service, why they are fighting for our country, they'll most likely tell you that your freedom is what they really fight for.
Right.
And that includes being able to kneel or stand or sit or whatever during a national anthem.
Right, and I'm sure there's plenty in the majority of people, like you said, that are, they fight and have served for your right to, be an American. And that's one of the things about America is that you have that protected right to make a statement. You can go. I mean, there's limits, obviously, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, freedom of speech or whatever does not, protect you from criticism, right?
Right. And that's the thing, right? It's like you have the freedom to say or do a thing, and then someone else has the freedom to have the exact opposite opinion.
Yep.
So it's like everyone is up in arms about the protests and saying that it's disrespectful to service people, it's disrespectful to just America in general, and that's one side of the coin. The other side is looking at the actual reasoning behind the protests. Like there's could Kaepernick have picked a different way to do it? Could he have just voiced his opinion in an interview or something? Yeah, like, sure. Mm-hmm. But I think that as a way to potentially get attention and, draw attention to the whole reasoning behind what he's doing, which is, the unfair and unjust treatment of African Americans in America, that he had to do something bold to kind of bring attention to it, because in a lot of people's opinion, in my opinion especially, it's gone on for much too long.
I mean, it's gone on for forever, really.
Right. And it's a bit ridiculous that we're sitting here in, 2018 and over the past, 5-6 years, things have been rough for people of color in America.
Yeah.
Not saying that it was never rough before, because God, was it rough.
I mean, it probably was just as rough. The thing is nowadays with social media and everything, and that we just hear about it a lot more.
Oh, it's so easy to get an opinion out there.
Yep.
Right? And to be heard, and it takes one person to tweet or say something, to say, oh, Kaepernick's the worst and he's disrespecting America, and that gets 100,000 retweets and
from Russian bots.
From potentially Russian bots. And, it kind of takes off, but
we have a flaw in our algorithm.
We can't tell who's people and who's not.
But yeah, and I guess this also kind of pertains with my last point in that it's unfortunate because there are plenty of, especially if we're talking about like the whole police brutality aspect of it, there are plenty of really, really good cops out there.
Yeah.
But there are a few bad apples, and maybe more than a few, I guess, with how much goes on. I guess a few is not doing it justice. But there's a lot of good cops out there that are gonna get like unfairly, punished, or not punished, but
viewed,
treated, I guess, or viewed, treated, because of the corrupt ones, or the ones that just kind of get I want to say get greedy with power, if that makes sense.
It's kind of more of like an abuse of power slash, them being in the position they're in, which is like super tough to like be a cop, because you deal with a lot of stuff, and it's like to be in the position they're in, sometimes I guess it could be hard to make the right decision. But like you said, like it's really just a few bad apples, but it's bad for all the good ones. Like I'm friends with, like we went to school.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. We have
right.
plenty
like,
of
we have plenty of cop friends that are fantastic people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a shame that, you know, a few people can ruin, you know, the view of that
perception.
You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, it's like an anecdote, I guess. I don't know if it's an anecdote, but like my wife one time stopped to help someone on the side of the road when their like car was broken down. This old Indian man, and the cops come up behind them. She was like waiting with them. Cops come up behind them, and he's like, oh no, don't get out of the car. Whatever you do, don't get out of the car. And, you know, he's like had a fear of the police in that way, because he's like, I don't want to do anything that could, you know, get me in trouble. And that it's kind of a shame that that we're at that point where people are, you know, afraid to get pulled over,
right, and
or just to be around cops.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like cops or the police. I guess cops are that's just a weird name.
Cops, yeah, I don't know.
When you're trying to describe the profession.
Right.
Policemen, policewomen. They're supposed to be servants of the community. They're supposed to be people you should not be afraid to come to with problems. Like you should be able to, you know, they're on your side.
Right.
So, yeah, the fact that we have all these incidents that make it seem, or not seem, but just give the perception that cops are the bad guys.
Right.
Sucks. And in cases that's been earned, obviously, but
right.
It's unfortunate that it then gets generalized to basically the entire police force.
Right. Much like most people think that developers like you and I are fat dudes in their mom's basements.
I can tell you right now that I'm not in my mom's basement.
I am not in my mom's basement. I am in my office, and
I'm not even in my basement.
It's a bit toasty in here.
It is. I've got the door closed and stuff. I've got the fan going.
Wish I was in the basement, because it would be cooler down there.
Cooler, yeah.
I don't have podcast set up down there, though. I can't.
Yeah, that makes two of us.
All the things. But yeah, I've been actually watching a show about policing.
Cops?
And it's not called Cops. Oh. I am sweaty, and it's not because cops. But yeah, it's about policing, and it's called Wyatt Senek's Problem Areas, and it's an HBO show. And he talks about, you know, a lot of different things. You know, every episode is about different things, but it all relates to policing and whatnot, and kind of where the problem areas are and where, you know, efforts are being made. And it's super interesting to, you know, because he goes and he interviews, you know, people on both like the Black Lives Matter side of it and police officers, and talk about, you know, what each side is trying to do and how they're cooperating and all that stuff. Really interesting if you're interested in the topic. Just to kind of get a look into things that are happening all over the U.S. in relation to that. So that's awesome.
I'll have to check it out.
But yeah, so yeah, that was the whole point, right? Is like policing, you know, excessive use of force and all that, and, you know, Kaepernick wanted to make a statement,
bring awareness.
Wanted to bring awareness, and he did it by, you know, during the national anthem, you know, a thing that's supposed to be like, yay, this is our country, this is, you know, us, and we're proud of it. He chose to make the statement, and many players after him chose to make the statement that, you know, I'm maybe not as proud right now to be part of this. Like, I'm sure Kaepernick and everyone who protests is wildly grateful that they are Americans.
Oh yeah, because, for sure.
You know, it's better. It's better than being, you know, a lot of other places.
I think you got to also take a look at it and say, you might think they're disrespecting, you know, their country doing that at that time, but if you kind of look at a different angle, you think they know, or they understand how how important, our flag and our ideals are to our country, that he is able to then use that as a forum, as a stage, it kind of makes you think he has a lot of respect for knowing that there's so much admiration for our country right at that moment in time. Right, and the ideals that it brings, that he should be able to use that moment and not look at it as here is something that makes me not proud to be American, but something that I'm proud to be American, but we can still be better.
Right.
I don't know if I really explained that well, but
yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and hopefully listeners do too. But,
they probably don't. They're probably completely lost. They probably turned it off.
So they've been gone.
They've been gone.
But yeah, like, I think what you're trying to get at here is that, it's not that he's saying, middle finger to America. He's not like dancing around and BSing and anything else, or, saying, I hate being here. He's semi-respectfully, like, he's still sitting there.
Yeah.
He was still sitting there, and people that are protesting are kneeling or linking arms, and they're still, being, attentive to what's going on, but they're also bringing attention to the fact that, there's something else happening, in the country at the time.
Well, let's be real. Do you think everyone in the stands are just, sitting there all quiet or standing there all quiet? A bunch of them are probably talking.
I've been at a number of NFL games and
chugging a beer while they do it.
No.
I'm saying there probably are. There probably are.
Oh no! There are plenty of people.
Honoring America.
As you look around, it's like, America is beer and apple pie, and I don't have any apple pie, so I've got 2 beers. So yeah, there's plenty of people that at the same time, you can say someone's sitting and that's disrespectful, but also there's plenty of people that are potentially the people that would be mad that aren't super attentive or being respectful in their own way.
Yeah. Before 2009, players weren't even out on the field for the national anthem. So
really,
yeah, they were still in the locker room when the national anthem was going on.
Huh.
So at least on the NFL level,
right?
So it's not like a huge tradition. To have the players all standing there, right?
Right.
Who cares? They're all sitting down in the locker room when the national anthem's going on.
Yeah. So speaking of that, there's new rules.
There are
around the anthem, right? So, the owners voted.
I don't know if they actually voted though.
Did they? I thought they did.
I don't think they actually did.
I thought that was the thing.
It wasn't like an official vote.
Huh. So
it was just like a poll, and then
a Twitter poll.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stand for anthem? Yes, no.
Hashtag.
So yeah, the new rule this year, whether voted on or not, is that all players must be on the sideline and standing.
Yeah.
During the anthem. So that's to be respectful and whatnot, but you can choose if you're out there and you don't stand, you get fined, because that's they pay a lot of money and they fine you.
I kind of hope like a good chunk of players just don't.
The fines just run rampant.
So many fines, fine the entire team.
They gotta go play by play as they're panning across the sideline. Pick out this guy. Who's that guy? That guy. Give him a fine.
I don't even know that guy's name.
Who's that? Is that a rookie? Oh God, double fine him.
Yeah, nobody likes rookies.
So yeah, that's the rule, is that they have to be in the sideline. They have to be standing. the other option is that the entire team can stay in the locker room, like you said, pre-2009 style.
And sit in the lockers.
And they can sit in their gigantic, super nice lockers.
Yeah. And not stand.
And not stand. So, yeah, I guess that's a solution.
Yeah, like it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes
it's stupid.
It's dumb. But yeah, I guess the biggest thing here to take away is, like, so the NFL didn't have really a vote with its owners. It didn't have an official vote. They just kind of like came to this conclusion, or Roger Goodell came to this conclusion, and it wasn't something that they consulted the players' union with either. So a lot of times when there's, like, you know, league and player issues, you know, the two sides will, like, come together for a solution. That didn't really happen in the NFL's case. If you look at, say, like the NBA, which is a league that is predominantly, you know, African American or black, they don't really have this problem because they've already worked this out in their contractual agreement between the two sides, in that the NBA, you know, makes them stand, but the league also gives them other ways to express themselves, and if they want to take a stand, you know, in another way, they are free to do that, and and the players have accepted that. Like, there's an agreement you can come to, but in the NFL, no such thing has been made, and it's pretty widely accepted, I would say, that there's going to be some sort of lockout coming within the next couple years in the NFL, because the two sides are just not going to agree on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, like you said, the NFLPA gets kind of tries to get in there and get involved, but at the same time, you know, there's not a 100% open dialogue and like super agreements between owners and the league and the players all together.
Right. So, and I think that's really why a lot of people are not really all that happy with the NFL. The NFL is a business, and they can, and as a business,
they're nonprofit.
Yeah.
The NFL, for those of you who don't know, are a nonprofit.
The NFL as a league is nonprofit. The teams, however,
tell that to Roger Goodell's pocketbook.
The team, well, you can tell that to any nonprofit CEO.
True.
Like, the league itself is nonprofit because it redistributes all of its revenue to the teams. The teams themselves are for profit, but the league is nonprofit.
So much profit.
So that's the difference, really.
Right.
But I mean, the thing is, like, the league gets paid by the military to do all this military awareness, or, you know, months or whatever they do.
Salute to service.
Yeah, salute to service thing.
I have a sweet Jordy Nelson salute to service Packers jersey that is not accurate, but still love him.
Yeah. Well, he's forever a Packer, really.
Always.
But that's the thing. Like, it's very hypocritical of the NFL to be doing this, because in the end they don't really care if it's disrespectful to the US of A.
Right.
They only really care about being a nonprofit that makes a lot of money for their teams.
Exactly.
So that's, like, kind of behind the whole thing, and then the fact that they haven't had discussions with their players about this. I think that's why a lot of people are none too happy with the NFL deciding, even though they are a business and they can, you know, essentially make their employees, you know, do whatever.
Right, like
reasonably, right?
Right, like they agreed to be employees, and so that means that they essentially agree to whatever the rules are.
Yeah, like I can't just go around, you know, at my work, or we can't go around at our work and just, you know, delete all the stuff off our servers and stuff.
Right, there's rules, and in fact,
there's rules that will either keep you employed or not.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't accidentally delete stuff from a prod server and have a bunch of bad things happen.
It sounds like experience talking.
Of course, has never happened to me personally, but moving on.
Moving on. That's not the topic.
That's not the topic. The topic is anthems and just all of this, the controversy here.
All of this stuff. That the thing is with what the NFL players are doing, and also you get into other things like the whole Childish Gambino song, right?
This is America.
This is America. Like all of these things that are happening, they're not necessarily supposed to be it, right? Like that's not supposed to be the peak of what they're trying to do. They're supposed to be just conversation starters. Right.
And if there's anything that, Childish Gambino's This is America has done, it's start conversations. I mean, it's so just
absolutely
just from a music perspective, fantastic song.
It's an okay song.
I love the song even without the video, but you're right, the video, Clay and I have talked about this before, but like the video really does help make the song. So like together it's amazing, and there's so much commentary, like hidden in not really hidden, but in the video. And
there's
it's funny because
there's a lot of
Donald Glover like refuses to kind of say like, yeah, these are all of the specific things that I was doing here, and
which I think is smart.
It's fantastic,
a lot of bands will do that, or some bands. I shouldn't say a lot of bands, but
it's the same thing with like art. Like art is music is a form of art, and art's left up to the interpretation, and that's kind of the point.
Yep.
With a lot of stuff. So, and it is starting conversation. There's been a couple in bad taste, in my opinion, spoofs of This is America, and then there's a rapper
there always is.
There's a rapper from Nigeria, I believe.
Like a Prince.
not a Nigerian prince.
Oh, okay.
He did send me an email and say that he needed $100,000.
You should take him up on it.
Yeah, he said he just needed me to send him 10, and then he could send me $1 million, and then I would send him back 100,000. So the whole thing. I replied.
There's fees and stuff. Yeah,
I'm just waiting for an extra reply back from him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I'm sure he's busy.
This rapper from Nigeria made This is Nigeria, and it was the same style of video where it was a lot of different things happening in a large warehouse kind of setting, and he was pointing out a lot of the things about Nigeria that are like wrong right now and how rough things are, and his video had a lot of subtle hits to things, a lot of imagery that was very obvious. If you know what's going on there, it's very obvious what he was pointing at and what he's talking about. And like you said, these things are all meant to be conversation starters, and it's because the conversations have been being had, but like again, we're at a point where it's kind of a push, and people are really like, seriously, something needs to be done, and we need to be talking about this more seriously and more often than we have in the past.
I think we're
that's
definitely
what these people are doing.
Yeah, I think we're definitely kind of hitting a tipping point for a lot of this stuff. I think people, and I guess that's one of the great things about social media. There's a lot of stuff that sucks about social media,
right?
But one of the great things is realizing you're not alone, right? There are other people who go through similar situations. And deal with similar types of things, and you can relate to people, and that helps you gain confidence and realize that things can be better, things can change, and you can help do that. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I think a lot of it also stems from our current administration in this country.
Yeah,
because they haven't
talked about controversy.
Our current administration just hasn't really shown a lot of effort I would say probably like no effort at these types of problems, at acknowledging these types of problems. Not necessarily doing something, but just even like acknowledging it.
Yeah.
When everyone, all of the rational people, realize that there are these issues are out there.
Right.
Right.
And that it's like worth talking about, and there's stuff to get, and it's hard to see, a lot of people in the administration or like in media and just people in general, on social media and stuff, just so blindly saying, like, this is wrong and these people are bad and this is like everyone's blowing everything out of proportion, when really the point is, like we've said, to get a conversation started, because there's always room for improvement, and that's true in literally every aspect of life.
Yep.
There's always room for improvement, and that's where we are, and I think that's where we need to be. That's how we need to be looking at this whole protest and everything else that's kind of going on in the country right now. Like, there's room for improvement, and if there's not, then we need to be living in a perfect society, or we've given up. So
yep.
I think that it's good that we're doing this, and I'm glad that we're pushing towards, like you said, a tipping point where we're going to have these open and honest, two-sided conversations where we figure out where are our problem areas and what can we do about it.
Yeah, and solutions for these are obviously they're not going to happen overnight.
Right.
So people who are out in the streets protesting or kneeling for anthems or whatever, I think most of the rational ones will understand that it takes time to get things implemented. It never happens as fast as you want it to.
Right.
But like we've said, there's conversation starters, and we got to continue the dialogue. I think the thing that really is making people just super upset is not because of it's not going fast enough, solutions. It's just that the conversation doesn't even seem to be there,
right,
or being taken seriously,
right. We haven't gotten
by one side when it's something that needs to be both sides needs to be participating, right.
And it's to kind of counterpoint my point before, like, it's not just the administration, it's not just the people on the anthem is the kneeling during the anthem is disrespectful side. It's people on both sides. It's people on the side of the protest that are just not looking to have a conversation, but just looking to be mad about it. There's people like that on both sides.
Yeah.
And we need to get to a point where we just need to take a step back and realize we're all Americans, we're all people, and we need to just do what we need to do, which is have conversations and find solutions in order to make this place better.
Yep, we're all on the same side in the grand scheme of things.
The human side. The
human side. And that's also, another thing about this administration, especially with the I don't want to say holiday, but anniversary that just passed with the whole D-Day.
Yeah.
How it was one of the, it was a very sad day, but it was a day that helped kind of, tip the world in a better favor.
Right.
The things that those brave men and women were able to, it was men storming the beach, but because women aren't really in combat roles, especially at that time. But even still, the service men and women, not only on American side, American soldiers,
the Allies.
The only reason that was successful, the whole invasion of Normandy, was because we had help from our allies. We had Canadians, we had Great Britain, we had the British, we had there were so many groups that we had to work with to get it right and to be able to succeed. And And we have to realize as a nation that we can't succeed alone. It just doesn't work in the world.
Right.
Right? The world is as small as it's ever been.
Yeah. I mean, we just have to honestly come together like we have in the past to help, solve our problems, to make everything better, to overcome the issues that are facing, people in every status and in every place here in America.
I just want to let you know that hockey is officially done for the year.
Hockey's done for the year?
Hockey is done.
Oh, no.
The Capitals have won.
The fellows pulled it off?
The Capitals have won the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
For the first time in their history.
You heard it here first.
Well, probably not.
Okay.
Considering that this episode probably won't be up until after they've probably heard it on Twitter or something.
Right.
But you've heard it in podcast form here first. So, Alex Ovechkin, the first Russian captain to lift the cup. I'm not even watching it right now because I'm so dedicated to this podcast.
Here.
I'm here.
You're here with us.
Yeah. And
that's they were trailing 2-3 there.
They were, and then they scored 2 goals in the third period,
which is impressive.
It is very impressive. Pretty cool. But sucks now that hockey's done.
It's all over.
You think oh, and speaking of which, I was going to get into this actually. So it's actually a good thing that the Capitals won because one of their players, I think probably their only black player, mentioned that he wasn't going to go to the White House if they won, and then they now have won.
So he's not going.
He will not be going. And then in the NBA, we've heard from both, basically both sides, both the Cavs and the Warriors, that they probably aren't going to be going. So
right, and Eagles decided that they weren't going to go, and then White House rescinded their invitation.
You can't not choose to go. We're just not going to invite you now.
You're not invited.
You're not even invited
anymore.
Yeah. Gotcha.
We're going to show you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That's interesting, though, that you say, because, I mean, hockey, predominantly white sport.
It is. It really is. And that's mostly because of just the insane cost of it, really.
Right. It's a high barrier to entry for,
just
most
right.
of the younger kids.
And that's just the demographics wise that just plays into white communities a lot more.
Right. And so with that being a fact, because I don't really follow hockey much at all, but has there ever been much talks about any
Not really.
Anthem stuff or whatever? See, and that doesn't surprise me, right? Where it's you would think also NASCAR. I think I heard at some point someone was if someone doesn't national anthem, they're fired. And so it's interesting to see in sports like that, or that are predominantly white or whatever. It's just it's not even a conversation there.
Right. Well, and there was a little bit of a conversation last year on it, because one player didn't kneel, but rose his fist during the anthem, and he got a lot of flack for it, which was super dumb.
Right.
But yeah, and the worst part, it's people can criticize. If you want to criticize, you have every right to do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there's people, and this extends beyond the whole anthem thing. But there's people when they get offended at something for whatever reason, and then they have the audacity or the craziness to send that person death threats. And it's just insane. It's just absolutely insane. Those people literally are insane.
Yeah. What is your deal? I've never understood like death threats.
Yeah.
Just in general for like all this, just for the dumbest thing.
Right.
The dumbest stuff in general. Like,
something that really doesn't affect you at all. It does not affect your life at all.
Be serious, you keyboard gangster. Just shut up.
Just shut up. All right, I think we should probably end it there, unless you have anything else to say.
No, I mean there's plenty more that could be said, but I think we pretty much covered it. You know, it's this whole Anthem thing and a lot of things going on. You know, they're rooted in fairly reasonable places, and the reason they're happening are because we want a conversation started. A two-sided conversation, and you and I agree, along with a lot of other people, that this conversation eventually needs to happen in order to make everything better. So let's do our part here, if we can. Whatever we can do. That, like I said, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face.
Pretty much.
But I think what we've done here is we've given people some things to think about, and potentially started some conversations.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, let us know. Give us a shout out on the Twitter. Let us know your thoughts, and also if you want to attend the home game for the Racine Raiders.
Yeah, let me know. I got some extra tickets.
He's got tickets. Tickets. I don't think you got ticks.
No, I don't have ticks. No ticks.
That's good. They carry diseases.
Ain't no ticks on me.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Binary Brothers Podcast. We can't wait for you to tune in next time. But until then, make sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, and BinaryBrothersPodcast.com.